You're listening to the Remote Millionaires Podcast, the show for aspiring and established entrepreneurs who want to create and scale six-figure success online without being chained to a job, location, or computer. I'm your host, Tom Gaddis. Let's dive in. Hey, aloha, and welcome to another episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast. I'm Tom Gaddis, and Christmas is just a few days away when this episode is going live. So let me be the first to just say happy holidays. And I appreciate you listening to this episode. You know, it's interesting. The holidays get me thinking every year because for a long time, the holidays for me were very stressful. And mainly it was because of money, right? I did not have a lot of money. In fact, I was super broke. It was a struggle. A wife, 2 kids, just trying to get through the holidays. And maybe you're feeling that way. Maybe right now you're feeling super stressed because money's tight. It's the holiday season. Maybe you're even listening to this podcast because it's called Remote Millionaires. And you're like, man, I want to be a millionaire. And that's why you're here, because you don't want to have those money problems that you currently have now. And you're looking for a way out. So I thought what I would do on this episode is talk a little bit about some of the things I've done to get myself right with money, and some things specifically that I think have led to the small amount of success that I've had. And I'm hoping they can help you as well. And I'm also going to make a book recommendation. So let's talk about a couple things. So early on in my life, when I was in high school, someone introduced me to the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a classic, a self-help classic, right? And when I read that book, you know, I had this, first, I love the idea that you could just think and grow rich. I mean, you don't have to do any work. Wow, what a great thing. Because I was inherently lazy about things. And so I was kind of looking for an easy way. And I thought, wow, think and grow rich. That's the easy way, right? Like, you're about the secret. Oh, I can just wish for something and I'll make some money. Like, that would be awesome. I can just wish myself a sports car. My experience has been that is not how it has worked for me. What has happened for me is I've had to adjust my thinking, get my thinking straight. And then the success and the money has come from the actions that I've taken over a period of time. You know, again, I always talk about my journey in entrepreneurship as a journey of becoming, and learning about money, understanding my relationship with money has been one step on that. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So a couple of things that I've done to kind of help myself get in right with my relationship with money. And I think money is a relationship, in that I know I had a lot of emotion when it came to money. Money stressed me out, right? Money was not a happy thought for me because I didn't have any. I was trying to get some. So it was a stressful situation. So there are a few things I had to do to fix that. So number one, I had to really battle my scarcity mindset, because when I was not making a lot of money, and when I wasn't doing the right things with the money that I did make, I always felt like there wasn't enough, you know? And so I was always thinking that money's tight. There's not enough money. There's not enough to go around. I can't make it. So I had to make a conscious effort to start to break myself out of that habit. So the first thing I decided to do was just to learn about money, to read books about money, not just books like Think and Grow Rich, but also books about financial management, about what that looks like, how to be smart with your money, along with other things, to just kind of understand, well, what is this thing with money, right? And the book I want to recommend to you, out of all the books I read, this one I think has helped me the most. It's by a guy named Stuart Wilde. It's called The Trick to Money is Having Some. And this book is really great because it's not just about your thought process, it's also about the actions you take. So getting my thinking straight about money, understanding what money is for, right? That money has no emotion attached to it inherently. That money isn't good and money isn't bad. Money is just a measurement. And what makes it good or bad is how I use it and what I do with it, right? And also that money actually, there are some things that money likes, like money loves speed. And we talked about this in the last episode, right? And when we were talking about ready, fire, aim. When you get an idea, the faster you can implement and get going. Money likes that kind of stuff. Money likes speed. Money is attracted to other money. That's why you see people when they're successful, they seem to get more successful, right? So those are some of the thinking things that I'm talking about that I had to get straight. Also, understanding that there's a difference between broke and poor. That was another thing, right? Like I can be broke. I may be broke again in the future. Broke is a temporary state, but poor is a permanent state. When you're poor, it's very hard to get out of something. You don't know how to get out of it. You're stuck in it. There is no way out for you when you're poor. But when you're broke, you can get out. So how do we avoid being poor? Well, we avoid being poor by developing our skills, by developing ourselves as a person, by becoming better, by learning things that will enable us to not be poor and to only be broke. For instance, for me, direct marketing, copywriting, those skill sets, internet marketing, those were skill sets that have allowed me in times when I haven't had money to be able to generate money. Not a lot, like not enough to make me rich or anything like that at the time, but enough to at least help me pay the bills and things like that. So I wasn't poor, I was just broke. So that's one thing, right? Developing those skills, doing those things, getting our thinking right with money, understanding for me those things. The other thing that I've really had to work consistently on is breaking, like I said, the scarcity mindset. And the way that I've done that is I've done some very actionable things. So number one is I really looked at how I handle money, what I do with it, do an audit, like try to spend it the right way, start to do some savings, all those things people talk about. I'm not very good at that stuff. It's a challenge for me. But the one of the biggest things I did to help break my scarcity mindset was to whenever I would go to the grocery store and I would go to pay, sometimes this little thing would pop up, and especially around the holiday seasons, it does this, and it asks you if you want to make a donation. $1, $3, $5, I think is usually the most you can do. So one of the things that I started doing was every time that would come up at the grocery store, I would donate $1, just every time without thinking about it. And what I noticed was every time I would do that, the first thought in my mind was like, I don't have enough money to do this. Like, money's really tight. I can't, I'm in debt. I'm behind on my bills. I can't be donating money right now, but I did it anyway. And what that started to train my brain to see was that there was enough. And even donating $1, $3, $5 every time, right? Doing it on a regular basis, I still made it, right? Like it didn't destroy my life. I didn't go bankrupt. So like just that little action of doing that on a regular basis is something that has helped me to break the scarcity mindset, right? And see that, yeah, like I can donate this money and I will be okay. And in fact, my experience has been when I've done that, good things have started to happen to me. So a couple of things I want you to take away from this episode, because I know I'm kind of all over the place. I didn't have notes for this. I just fired this camera up and started talking. So a couple of actionable things I think you can take away from this, and I hope you do. Number one, work on learning about money. Money is just like anything. Managing it, handling it, doing all that stuff is a skill. You want to learn about it. You want to get different perspectives on it, and you want to learn about it. Number two, fight the mentality of scarcity. You can do that by setting up regular donations and doing them regardless of whether you have the money or not. For me, a big step in my financial journey was cleaning up my monetary past. actually going back and fixing all of the money mistakes I had made, things I had bought and on payment plans and had stopped paying, right? Like, even though those people weren't coming after me, I went back and sought those people out and paid those things off. Like becoming a good steward of money, right? Like starting to try to do things the right way, even though I don't do them the right way all the time. And then, working on my thinking about money, how I think about money, my relationship with money, all that stuff. And again, this book, The Trick to Money is Having Some, has been a big help for me with that. And then just remembering that there's action to be taken, right? It's not about sitting around and thinking about being rich and becoming rich. It's about, setting some goals, taking actions and working towards that. And it's a process. So look, I wanted to shoot this episode because, again, I spent so many years around the holidays stressed out about money. And, it's not like I'm stress-free about money today. That's not the case. Like, even as you get success and you grow, you're still going to find there's going to be challenges and things you can get better at and do. And for me, even today, learning about money, understanding how to work with money, understanding my relationship with money, how I think about it, getting better at all that stuff is still a daily ongoing thing for me. But I wanted to shoot this episode. So hopefully if you're in that position, maybe you can today, while you're listening to this episode, just make the decision, hey, I'm going to get a handle on this right now. Like, I know it's going to be a slow, long journey, but today I'm going to make a decision to figure out money and how I think about it and what I do with it and how I interact with it. And hopefully that will start your journey. And some of the tips I gave you, I hope will help you along the way. All right, look, I really appreciate you listening to this episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast. If you're interested in Remote Millionaires, we would love to have you in the program. It's our mentorship program. We take people by the hand. We show them exactly how to build a remote digital marketing agency, just like we have, one that generates good money to support the lifestyle you want, that you don't have to spend a lot of time in. You can go to remotemillionaires.com and find out about that. If you enjoyed this episode, please go to wherever you listen to it. Leave me a review. I'd appreciate that as well. There'll be notes on the show note page of this at remotemillionaires.com/podcast. You can go there and check that out. If you have questions, please feel free to email me, tom@tomgaddis.com. I would love to hear from you. And look, I'm going to see you next week on another episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast. Next week, I'm going to talk about resolutions because New Year's Eve is coming up. We're going to talk about resolutions and some ways I handle those and different things I've done. I think you're going to be surprised because I haven't made a resolution in quite a while, but I have changed my life and I've done it in a specific way. And we're going to talk about that on the next episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast. So until then, stay safe, have a happy holiday, practice aloha, and I'll see you next week on another episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast.
Hey, if what you've heard today on the Remote Millionaires Podcast resonates with you and you want to continue the conversation, then I want to personally invite you to head over to remotemillionaires.com and schedule your free Remote Millionaires business development call. We will analyze your business and show you exactly how to accelerate your results and build a wildly successful business you can run from anywhere. Until next time, Tom Gaddis, signing off.